But Impact Wrestling formally debuted on Access Television this past Tuesday with a steel cage main event for the Impact World title that saw Sami Callihan beat Brian Cage to win the championship. I watched the match. I also watched that segment with Ken Shamrock being introduced to Joey Ryan, who once Shamrock realized that it was the penis guy, as he called him, he got all excited. I thought the cage match was good. I did watch the match. Callihan won the title off of a pile driver from the second rope. I thought for sure Cage was kicking out of that because that's all we see these days, right? It's this epidemic of people kicking out of big moves off the top rope and finishers. But he actually won with it. And then Tessa Blanchard got into the cage and she went nose to nose with Sami. And Callihan, he hocked the loogie into the air. And it landed all over his face. It's really disgusting when he does that. I cannot stand that. It's like back in the day, the headbangers used to do that shit where they would spit up into the air. I forget which headbanger it was. It was either Tweedledee or Tweedledum, whichever one it was, would spit up into the air and catch it in his mouth. But he's in the ring and he's doing that. But one person who was happy for him, one person who was very happy to see Sami Callihan win the world title, was Tommaso Ciampa. And in a sea of negativity, and God knows there's going to be a lot of it to get into this week, but in a sea of negativity, I'm using this as my happy tweet of the week. Ciampa tweeted that he and Callihan attended the same TNA tryout many years ago. Neither of us were offered a deal. He later signed with WWE. I signed with ROH. He quit WWE. I quit ROH. We both crossed paths countless times around the world, and tonight Sami became the Impact World Champion. And then he included a bunch of heart emojis. He was cool with everyone in House of Glory when we did stuff with him, Callihan was, although he did attack JD once, but, he had it coming. Cool to see him get a chance, though, in the top spot. I assume they're building to another match with him and Tessa, which is why she came out. They had a intergender match on a pay-per-view a number of months ago that was really good. The question now is, would they put their world title, would Impact put its world championship on Tessa Blanchard? And if they did, how would you feel about that? Because I think Tessa's the real deal. It would not bother me if they actually did that. If that's what they're building to, and they eventually are going to put their world championship on Tessa, I'm okay with that. And she seems to be very popular among the online community and the fans in the buildings, casuals. She's, a superstar in Impact. And you can say she's a big fish in a small pond, which I think would be accurate. But she's a superstar. Over there, she's a rock star. I just wonder how many people would pitch a fit if they did pull the trigger on that. I just know that there would be a lot of very heated, divided opinion about it if they decided to do it. Some people just don't accept any form of intergender wrestling at all. You heard me talk about this all the time when Lucha Underground, and I loved Lucha Underground, but one of the things I did not really like about the show was how hard they went in many times on the whole one-on-one intergender stuff. Like the tag matches I didn't mind so much. And there were the exceptions. There were certain situations where I would watch it and go, hey, that wasn't bad. But it's just not my thing. But in this case, I think, you know what? If they want to do it, I think it would make all the sense in the world because of her position in the company. And I was very impressed. The last time she was in the ring with Callihan, the match they were able to pull off, I wasn't taken out of the match. It didn't come off to me as being overly unrealistic or anything like that. It was a good enough match that I kind of got lost in it. And that to me is the telltale sign of a successful match, is that you kind of just get lost in it. You believe in and buy into what's going on. And they had a hell of a match. So I'd be very curious where many of you stand on that argument, in favor of, not in favor of, and why. Hey, there were rumors back in '99 that WWE almost did the same thing with Chyna. And I never bought into that because Austin was the champion at the time. He was the hottest thing in wrestling. I don't think there's any way they would have put Chyna in that position as the world champion at that time. Maybe if Chyna were around today, she'd be the most over person in the entire company. Then I might look at it and go, you know what? You can't do much worse. But back then, with the idea of Austin and Rock and all these people, even as popular as Chyna was, I never really bought into that. I guess they could have had Foley take the fall in like a triple threat if it was, let's say, Austin, Chyna, and Foley at SummerSlam or something, so that way Austin doesn't have to lose straight up. But, if it ever got past an initial conversation, I doubt it was ever seriously considered. But Chyna was super popular to a much larger audience, much larger than what Impact has. It's interesting to, I think, just see how divided the opinion is on this subject. But I think, and I've said this before and I'll say it again here, and she seems very happy and very content in Impact. And I believe she's signed with them through next summer. There were these rumors a few weeks ago that her contract was coming up with Impact. That's not true. I believe she's signed through at least half of next year. And she did an interview recently with Chris Van Vliet and seems very happy in the position that she's in. But at some point, you've got to move on to bigger and better things. Now, whether that's WWE, whether that's AEW, maybe there's some other promotion out there that can give, her the spotlight and the attention that she may want. At some point, it's going to be Tessa and Charlotte in a main event match at WrestleMania. It's the natural match. Two daughters of two of the original Four Horsemen. Second generation, actually in Tessa's case, third generation. I do believe it will happen one day.